Evening, everyone. Good to have you all here. Good to see such a strong turnout for such a strong project. I'm moderating tonight. My name's James. I'm not part of the Loki team, but we are friends of Loki. I work for a consulting firm, blockchain consulting firm, venture studio called Type Human, and I'll be fielding questions from me and from all of you tonight. So there is a survey link that you can click on, that you can submit questions to later on tonight if you've got anything that you want to hear from the guys.
It's just there. It's Menti, and that's the code up there if you want to ask some questions.
So let's get into it. Fellas, Genesis story. How did you all meet? How did Loki start? Tell us a bit.
Hey, everybody. I'm Chris. Yeah, I'm Chris from the Loki team. Most of us met at the Blockchain Center in City Road or whatever. And we just sort of went to these meetups there, and we just sort of had really similar ideas. And we just made a meme coin called Dollary Doos. And the day we launched it, we got slammed by someone doing the same thing, and they patented the whole thing. So we just had to give up on that. And we sort of rebranded, restructured, changed everything, and came up with Loki, and it's completely different. And sorry, I kept going with that one.
Well, yeah, it wasn't that straightforward. I mean, this was over a period of months, I guess. But that's it. That's the essence of the story. There's a lot of people in this room from the Blockchain Center at the moment. Who comes to the Talk and Trade on a weekly basis? Put your hand down, Tom Nash. I know you don't come anymore. Yeah, it's a great place. Things are changing all the time there, but it's been a continual discussion in the Melbourne community for years now. So it's great to have.
Can I ask, who came up with the name Loki?
This was a topic of much debate. I thought we didn't know, but it was actually just Josh staying quiet about the fact that it was actually him that put it on the whiteboard in the first place. But it was Josh.
So back when it was Dollary Doos and the name got stolen, we had to come up with a new name, but there was so many of us, and coming up with a name was just impossible. Because everyone would come up with a name, but then someone else would be like, no, I hate that name. And then it would not happen. So things weren't going anywhere. And then I just saw Thor Ragnarok, really. And then I thought Loki would be a kind of cool name for a crypto, especially the kind of crypto that we've got, which is kind of private by design, and it's kind of uses all these tricks to hide transactions, and Loki's kind of the god of mischief and trickery. And then I was like, it's also low-key transactions. And even if you mispronounce it like Loki, it's that sounds super secure. And so then everyone was kind of... everyone kind of got on board. But then when they were like, who came up with the name? I just didn't want to say anything in case someone would shut it down. So I was like, as long as people decide the name's cool, no one needs to know who came up with the name. So that's kind of how it happened. I'm Josh, by the way.
He came up with the Loki name.
Yeah.
So, as I hear, you guys have just completed a fundraising round pretty recently in the last 6 months. I think all of us have seen a pretty interesting rally and a bit of madness at the end of last year. What was the ICO and fundraising circuit like for you guys?
Well, we opened and closed within 28 days, I think was the official number, but there was a lot of stuff either side of that. The ICO circuit is very interesting. There's not actually all that many players in it, as you might think. At least ones that actually turn up to the conferences and stuff. There's a lot of hotel lobby wheeling and dealing that goes on. My first ever tour that we did with Loki to try and do some fundraising was in Japan in very, very late January. And the first meeting I went to was a hotel lobby, the Hilton. So it's not just a meme, these things really do happen just outside where people are staying or the conference is. It's very strange. We found some really good investors very early on. And then we went through a few changes, and then we actually opened up our sale. And then Chris was working like a madman, as I'm sure his girlfriend who's here tonight can attest to, for many, many weeks. And I don't know how he lived through that. But we got there in the end, and me and Key were in Berlin at the time when the sale actually closed, which is a very exciting experience. We met some very great developers in the space. So it was kind of weird. We started from a very financial perspective. A lot of the people in the space were there just to pump ICOs and all that shit. And then towards the end of it, we actually found some places which were, more to the core of the technology, which was nice to see. So yeah, there's the good and the bad, I would say.
The other thing that I'll say was interesting is the size of the raise ended up being, or the target that we tried to hit was $9 million, and we did that. But the thing was, we raised in Ethereum, and we raised that at the low point in Ethereum, basically. So now that the price of Ethereum has come up, our raises increased significantly in size. So it's an interesting thing when you're not really raising a fixed amount of money, you're raising in money that fluctuates. So that can be good and bad, but it's an interesting thing to think about. It's not what traditional businesses do.
And it was bad too. It wasn't. We started at like $900 per Ethereum, and then towards the middle of the raise, it had dropped to like 390 or something. So everything we'd just raised suddenly became rather worthless and very scary. But then, of course, things picked up again, and now they're going back down again. It's extraordinarily hard to budget for these things. I wouldn't recommend raising in Ethereum or Bitcoin if you can avoid it. Oh, I'm Simon, by the way.
I'm liking these like gradual, incremental introductions.
Yeah, just sort of slowly introducing ourselves.
Okay, so you guys went out there. You raised a lot of ether, and you released a protocol on mainnet 2 weeks ago, or 2 months ago.
6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago.
It's a belated launch party.
Yeah. This launch party is really poorly timed. Partly because we're lazy, partly because we were very busy. But sorry, we're about 6 weeks late. But it's all good. You're all here. It's all fine.
So this launch that we're celebrating tonight, how'd it go? I was watching from a distance. And I emailed Key actually on the day, and he sent me an email being like, "Hey mate, sorry, I'm gonna have to cancel seeing you. Things are going crazy with mainnet launch."
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that.
So that day was probably one of the most stressful days that we had throughout the whole entire process. So essentially what happened was about an hour before we were scheduled to launch, we worked out that we were 800 blocks ahead on one daemon and 800 blocks behind on another one. So like we had a critical problem about an hour before we launched, and we had to relaunch the whole thing in about 30 minutes. So it was crazy before we launched. But yeah, like I had to email people like and cancel things that I thought I was going to go to. And we didn't really even know when we were going to launch until we actually did it. There was always this thing that we joked about inside of our team, which was like, we're going to launch in 2 weeks. We'll just add 2 months on top of that, and then we'll have the official time. So it was strange being in that environment.
And can I ask, how did it feel seeing like your codes like set free into the wild? Like, did you see people did you see anyone try to take it and copy it? Did you see like anyone trying to attack the network?
Not so far. I don't think, no.
So there's a couple of other crypto note coins out there. Sorry, I don't want to take the mic. Yeah. There's a couple of other crypto note coins out there. One has actually taken what we did for our launch and credited us. So they said we took this code from the Loki project. So we're already starting to see people use our code. We didn't see any attacks. I think we kind of structured our thing pretty well. So there wasn't any like critical flaws. But the main reason we stopped and we delayed for a week was because we wanted to introduce some difficulty adjustments and some other stuff that would prevent us from being attacked. So we were always thinking about like the possibility of being attacked.
Okay, so I'm going to hand out the mic to this side of the room as well, so you guys can get a word in. Next 6 months, what's on the Loki roadmap?
First of all, Doyle, can you run me up a beer here, please, sweetie? Thank you. Love you. please. Huh? A white rabbit. Two. Four. Yeah. Okay, wait, what was the question? I was thinking about beer.
Next 6 months roadmap.
Oh, okay. It probably isn't like for this side of the things. I can tell you like what's going on the marketing side for the next 6 months. We've got like bounty programs in place. We've got, I mean, the whole project is pretty technical. Like it's quite like developer heavy, and that was kind of the first thing that happened.
Are you saying you do nothing in this company?
Yeah.
What's your next 6 months?
Oh, my next 6 months. Yeah, I mean it's very marketing heavy. There's marketing in place. I would like more money. I would like more money to do some more stuff. Yeah, please, thank you. Yeah. So I mean, we've got bounty programs in place. We've got like a whole bunch of video coming out because like my background before Loki is very media based. I did a lot of film stuff. That's why we've got like 3 cameras in the room at the moment. So there's a lot of film stuff coming out. There's a very big film actually coming out in particular because one of the things we did from the very beginning, from the first week, was it? I think it was from the first week. As soon as it came down, we basically filmed everything, like the whole, like from week 1, what it was like. So all the ups and downs has basically been filmed the entire time. So there's basically going to be like a documentary coming out on like basically everything that went into this thing. So that's going to be a big portion of the next 6 months for me, I would say. But yeah, okay, you talk.
No, you did a really good job.
Oh, okay.
I mean, So
the
the technical side is we kind of more started as this idea of private messaging, and that was going to be our thing. I think the way we started that was because we didn't want to overpromise. And that's also always a problem in ICOs, that they promise the world of their platforms and then they're just not able to deliver on what they say. So we wanted to start small with private messaging, but we always had this vision in the back of our mind that we were going to be able to do more, because the internet is basically nodes passing messages between each other. So we thought once we did messaging, we'd be able to bootstrap other things on top of that. And that's started to become more of a reality. So in version 3 of the white paper, which will come out soon, and I know I've been saying that for a long time, but we're kind of going into this more generalized mixed net scenario. So if you've heard of Tor or I2P, we're building a new routing layer on top of the internet. So our one is called LARP, and it's the low latency anonymous routing protocol. So
sexy name.
Yeah, we're building something from the ground which will be similar to Tor or I2P. So that's the vision. It's really expanding over the next 6 months. So you'll see releases on LARP. So I think it's a couple 100,000 lines of code now that have been written, and you'll see the release eventually. And the other stuff is we're doing some more base layer modifications to Monero as well, the code that we're based on. So there's a lot coming up, and service nodes are probably going to come sooner than expected as well. So.
Yeah, the scope's really expanding, is the long and the short of it.
So one last question from me, because this is something I want to hear your opinion on as a team. Loki is, obviously, it's built on top of Monero. And Monero is a privacy coin, anonymous digital cash, like true anonymous digital cash. Why is privacy something important?
Well, I think the greatest example of this is to look at the US government, actually, strangely enough. They are notorious for coming down hard on whistleblowers and this sort of thing. I'm sure we've all heard the stories. And if you know anything about the Tor network, which is basically where most people on the internet go to look at things they probably shouldn't, but also the government still give them $2 million a year to develop it because it actually gives them a whole lot of security for various operatives around the world. It's an incredibly useful tool. Privacy is a human right, obviously, but it's also something that gives businesses, governments, and every individual on the planet access to mathematics, which is cryptography, that allows them to do things that no one else can see unless they let them. And that's an incredibly powerful thing for the flow of information, the flow of money, the flow of ideas. It's incredibly important.
Any of you guys got something to say?
Chris just works hard, and then he gets to sit on the stage.
I mean, I wasn't really listening, but so, well, what I think is, I might be saying the same shit you just said, but I tend to find there's just a lot more surveillance going on. I feel like the world is going a lot more in this direction when it comes to privacy. So naturally, you kind of have to go in this direction to balance it out. I think like the core of it, like where the happy space is somewhere in the middle. But if things keep going this way, you have to counterbalance by going this way. So I mean, I feel like that's what we're doing. You know, we're trying to give options. Otherwise, it's just gonna get too one-sided.
Okay.
So now's the time. I'm just flicking through some questions that have been sent to me from the audience. I'll start off with a funny one. A question number 23. Where did you get your shirt?
Which shirt?
Yeah. Who?
This one. But you can see Chris rocking around in the new Loki shirt as well.
Yeah, if you need to pick up some merch, just head over towards me.
We literally got them today. It's cool. Oh, turn around.
Yeah.
Do a little
pirouette.
Do a little spin. Do a little spin. Show them your back. Hey.
Yeah, we literally got them printed today, and the boxes came and it was still warm inside. It was beautiful.
Next question. At this time, what is the estimated time until the service node functionality upgrade is live? Key? I think this one's...
Yeah, so we gave ourselves a lot of leeway to deliver this on time. So I think the on the roadmap on the website it says November. We might be looking for a faster launch than that. Things have gone quite smoothly, but we'll still say November, but it could be sooner. So I'll just say that. Yeah.
Where's Jack and where's Doyle? One there, one at the back. You can thank those guys. It's looking more like September, just quietly. I didn't say that.
No pressure.
Third question. What were the key challenges of raising from a private sale?
Oh, I'm going legal on this one, apparently. What was the challenges? It's not more challenging. It's easier, actually. There's a lot less legal shit that you have to deal with because you know that everyone that is investing in you has been given the correct information and has been reading disclaimers and contracts and everything else, and they have to sign it, and it's all very orderly and full of legalese and everything else. So it's very good from an arse covering perspective. I think the challenging part about it is everyone else feels left out. If you don't have, a lot of money, if you don't have an inroad to getting an allocation, it makes you feel quite bad. And there was quite a high barrier to entry. We were doing quite large tickets, so there were quite a few people that missed out on the pre-sale. But of course, now that it's on the market, it's actually worth less than we were selling it for right now. So if you wanna get in, it's not too late.
One of the really good things was doing the private sale is that I got to speak to every single investor that was jumping on the project. So I generally start the conversation with a quiz. I'd be like, why do you like Loki? How did you get in contact? And how much do you want to invest, obviously? And it was really good to sort of gauge their interest. And even now, I still speak to a lot of the investors, and they want to help us grow because they have a vested interest, obviously. So it was really good. It was a really good way of doing it because our communications are so much more than just a general ICO with an ERC20 token. They just chuck in money and then they'll get their token back and then they'll try and sell it later and they have no connection. So a lot of the investors, there was quite a good conversation between them and us. So yeah.
And I think one of the challenges too when it goes to private sale is maybe in a public sale things move a lot quicker, but with a private sale there's a lot more steps to go through, and leads that seem hot at one stage can go cold very quickly. you know, like after maybe like a week or two, like of just the process taking a while, like things that seem like sure things all of a sudden just disappear. So that's kind of one of the challenges of a private sale as well, keeping that.
Yeah, on the technical side of doing a private sale, we considered a lot, because we're part proof of service, which means that you can take coins and use them to do functional things on the network. We considered a lot what would happen if we were actually conducting a fake sale and we were going to take all of the money for ourselves at the end and then use all of those coins to somehow disrupt the network. So we did build things into our missions curve to make it so that there were so many coins emitted after the sale that it would dilute the whole sale prematurely. So we can't, even if we did the whole pre-sale ourselves and sold ourselves all of the tokens, we still wouldn't have control over the network. So that was a big consideration when we did our sale, because not everyone could get entry. We assumed that some people would think we weren't running the sale fairly, and we would have kept some of the tokens for ourselves to have influence over the network. So that was another thing to consider.
So, double-barreled question from someone in the audience. 1, how do you guys plan to create network effects and grow Loki Messenger? And 2, who are your competitors?
That's a really good question. With the Messenger, that's sort of taken a back seat now, because I think we're building something a lot bigger than that. It's still going to be a core feature of Loki, but we're directly competing with Tor and less so with I2P now. What we're building is sort of a halfway house between Tor and I2P. But the nice thing about the Loki network is going to be the cyber attack resistant properties. A lot of people out there are very aware of the fact that there are quite a few government agencies who've been known to, at various times throughout its history, have enough nodes on the Tor network to be able to do effective temporal analysis against its users. And that's always been something that's very unattractive to users of that mixnet. And the alternative, I2P, is very, very, very slow and has very little exit functionality. There's a lot of technical debt. It's been running for quite some time now, but things haven't really progressed in a way that a lot of users find sufficient to make the switch. So what we hope to be building is essentially an improved version of Tor that takes what I2P has done and then use the blockchain to actually enforce node behavior, which is a really unique thing that no one else has really thought about in this space. Yeah.
On a simple level, it's going to be fast. Well, we don't know yet, but it's probably going to be faster than Tor, and it's probably going to be more private than Tor. So a lot of these people who are in the privacy space, they'll go with what is best. So if we're able to provide what is best, we can build a network effect around that. So that's the basic idea.
I've got one question. Thinking about competitors, I read, or I did some reading into Orchid Protocol. Tell us how Loki's different from Orchid. Orchid, by the way, is a, correct me if I'm wrong, a crypto token project that looks to incentivize people to run nodes in a Tor-like network.
So I actually haven't read their white paper in a while, but from what I remember, Orchid is an ERC20 token. So when you build an ERC20 token, you inherit all of the problems that Ethereum has and all of the benefits that Ethereum has as well. But things like scaling haven't really been explored well, they have been explored, but no one's created a perfect solution for scaling on Ethereum yet. The other thing is Ethereum is most certainly non-private. So although you can have a very private routing layer, as soon as you interact with the currency on top of that layer, you're giving away most of your privacy. Whereas Loki doesn't have that problem. First off, we can build our own scaling solutions, and master nodes play into that a bit, or service nodes, that's what we call them. And also, it's a private cryptocurrency on top, so when you interact with the cryptocurrency layer, you're not necessarily giving away your privacy that you create with the routing layer. So that's what I would say are the main differences.
There's also some questions about the way those guys operate. I think those guys have sold a very interesting vision, but I've heard things about them paying themselves $500,000 a year and flying first class to basically everywhere they go. So, you know, there's that as well. I'll let you do with that what you will. And that's just a rumor, by the way. I don't know that, but that's what I've heard.
Can you ask Dial to bring us some more beers? Hey, Dial. 4 more, please. I love you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, 2 more.
2 more.
Jesus Christ.
2 more.
So one of the things that is going to be built on top of Loki is service node applications, or SNAPs. Any exciting SNAPs in the works?
So as the vision for Loki has changed, SNAPs have also significantly changed as well. So yeah, so what SNAPs have kind of changed. So SNAPs were originally this idea that we can do things on the Loki base layer that no other service can do. And we're still doing that. We now consider Loki Messenger to be one of the original SNAPs. But what SNAPs are more changing into are what we would traditionally refer to as hidden services on Tor. So these are servers that are hosted that run a proxy. And the proxy connects to the anonymous routing layer and then connects users between that service and Tor. So you can think of things like WikiLeaks that's on Tor, where you can submit leaks from your government or whatever you find. You can submit it anonymously to a server and no one will know your location. So that's really what the vision of SNAPs has become. And any web service that can be run in the traditional network can also be run on top of what we're building. So you think about social media or whistleblowing websites, marketplaces, anything that is on the traditional internet can probably be built on our service as well. So yeah, they've expanded. The vision has expanded a lot.
And all private, obviously. Well, so long as they're built well, but that's another thing.
Thanks, Simon. I think we'll open it up to the floor. Has anyone got any questions they'd like to ask these guys? Jonathan.
What would be the second DApp that you guys would create?
The second DApp? Well, you should ask Tom Nash if you're after DApps, mate. Them flex DApps. Oh, unbelievable.
What, like dead man drops or something?
What would be the second idea other than private messaging?
So yeah, so SNAPs or whatever we're calling them. So SNAPs are servers that are hosted on the network. What we're considering more the services that everyone is provided are now called Loki services. So we consider Messenger to be a Loki service now. There is an additional Loki service that we've been thinking about, and that's probably a marketplace. So something very similar to OpenBazaar that runs through our service, so it's provided to every single person. But in the broader vision of SNAPs, things that are actually hosted on top of the Loki network, like I can think of, whistleblowing websites and marketplaces would be really good as well to be hosted on top.
That's a good question. I feel like he has a good question.
Grant.
Well, considering you came from a meme coin, what is your distributed meme strategy?
Oh, I don't have an answer, but I'm curious.
Well, there's some fellas in our Telegram group that are pretty good at creating some top tier memes. I'm not sure they're top tier memes as such, but they're how do I put this nicely? They're really bad stickers. Like there's one of me, right? And they've photoshopped a picture of my face, and they put a red uniform on me with a red cap that's got a Loki thing on it, and I'm holding a pizza, and it says, "If it's not delivered in 30 minutes, your pizza is free." That's the whole sticker. I don't know what it means, but it's become an office meme. So there you go.
Any more questions?
No, these people just want to drink and eat and chat shit and do all that. So.
Fantastic job with the mainnet launch. Do you guys have any plans to form any sort of partnerships with WikiLeaks or the Tor project going forward into the future to enable people to use the Loki Service node layer as an interface between Tor to add additional privacy against the exit node attack, or WikiLeaks as an additional layer of privacy?
Well, WikiLeaks is something that we can clone and host ourselves, so no partnership required. And Tor is a completely separate system doing a similar thing. So it'd be unnecessary double up. So no, in short, not those specific things.
I mean, we've talked to multiple humanitarian organizations about partnerships. Nothing like official that we can say yet. But I know that there's a lot of interest, especially in people like, and I'm not saying specific names here, but people like Amnesty International and these services that are really trying to help people who are oppressed individuals by their governments. There would be a lot of interest, I think, in the wider community about a new type of mixed net which provides an additional layer of privacy. So.
And with that, I think that's a wrap. Can we put our hands together for the guys coming up here tonight?
And thank you, James, for hosting.
And I'm told there will be more pizza and more beer coming. So if you didn't get food first time around, stick around, mingle, have a drink, enjoy your Friday evening.
Stay seated.
Oh, wait. There's one more thing. Trust me, you want to stay in your seat for this. You'll understand why.
Okay, before everyone leaves, if there's any vacant seats, I recommend you getting into them as fast as possible in a safe manner. There is an envelope under everyone's seat if you'd like to grab it. Within this envelope, there is a recovery phrase for a Loki wallet. So, 3 of the envelopes out there contain 50 Loki, and 1 envelope contains 100 Loki. What you'll need to do is, you'll need to go home and install our command line wallet or our GUI wallet, which can be found from our website. Input those words to find out if you were one of the lucky 4 people that received free Loki. If you have any issues with setting that wallet, you can always head to the Telegram chat and hit up our moderators. They'll happily walk you through it. And we also have videos online which walk you through it too.
This is the world's first chair drop, everyone.
Yes. Welcome to the world's first chair drop.
Cool. Okay, Tom, hit the lights.
Otherwise, please enjoy your night. If you're interested in merch, come see myself. I can hook you up. We do have a few designs and a few sizes left.